Next to the Pope's tour of Asia-Pacific, Pope Francis used his first speech of his trip to call for the strengthening of interreligious ties to help fight extremism and intolerance, urging leaders to work with other faiths. He made the comments after meeting Indonesia's President Joko Widodo on Wednesday, seen here embracing the Pope outside the presidential palace in Jakarta. Members of the public had lined the streets to greet the 87-year-old pontiff, who's been discussing relations between religions in a speech to officials and diplomats. On Thursday, the Pope will visit Southeast Asia's largest mosque and leaders from 6 religions in Indonesia. And the Mexican Congress has approved controversial judicial reforms in a marathon overnight session. And the proposals will still need to be approved by the Senate, but President Andrés Manuel López Obrador's supporters have a comfortable majority there. Under the plans, 7,000 magistrates and judges, including Supreme Court justices, will be elected by popular vote. The opposition and rights groups say it's an effort by the president to concentrate power in the hands of his party. Officials in Bangladesh say a further 8,000 Muslim Rohingya have crossed the border from Myanmar, following the increased violence of the past 2 months. The acting foreign minister said Bangladesh no longer had the capacity to shelter new arrivals. More than 1 million Rohingya live in overcrowded camps, having fled religious violence 7 years ago. Now, a council of New Zealand's Indigenous Maori chiefs has chosen the late king's only daughter as the new queen. She was selected by King Tuatia's successor and was cheered as she sat on a wooden throne during an elaborate ceremony in the country's North Island. She's 27 and will be the second Maori queen. Now, the first was King Tuatia's mother. A flotilla of war canoes is carrying the new queen's father for burial on a sacred mountain. The former king, who used to be a truck driver, died last week at the age of 69 following heart surgery.
An inquest has heard how a mental health assessment into a guest on the Jeremy Kyle show found he was at risk of suicide. Stephen Diamond is believed to have taken his own life a week after appearing on the ITV programme 5 years ago. Jeremy Kyle himself is expected to give evidence to the inquest tomorrow. The government's been urged to provide extra funding for hospices after more job cuts have been announced. Staff at a hospice in West Sussex have been told that 35 posts will be lost. It's the 6th in recent weeks to take such action because of financial pressures for those providing end-of-life care. Water company bosses could be banned from receiving bonuses and even sent to prison under new government legislation aimed at reducing pollution. The proposed laws, which will apply in England and Wales, give regulators more powers and make it easier for them to impose fines. Let's take a look at the papers for you this morning, Thursday morning. The final report from the Grenfell Tower inquiry dominating the front pages. Killed by greed and a culture of dishonesty. The headline in the Times, pictures of those who died. The paper says the report blamed unscrupulous building firms for the fire.
The damning verdict from the inquiry was that every one of the deaths was avoidable. So says the Eye. Everyone failed them, the paper says. The Daily Mirror also carries the pictures of those who lost their lives with a headline that reads simply, "Now get them justice."
And look at the Daily Telegraph. It says prosecutors believe families will have to wait between 12 and 18 months for any charges to be brought. Paper headlines the story with Grenfell crooks and killers will not face justice until 2026. The communications watchdog Ofcom has published plans that would see Royal Mail end second-class deliveries on Saturdays. Ofcom said the change would allow Royal Mail to make savings and improve reliability. First-class post would continue to be 6 days a week under those plans. Formal proposals will be set out next year following a consultation.
Royal Mail have told us that as part of a package of changes, this could save them up to £300 million a year. But to be clear, this isn't a free pass for Royal Mail. If this change goes ahead, and we will be doing a lot of work now to assess whether it really meets user needs, lots of consumer research before we launch a full consultation, it will then be down to Royal Mail to actually implement the change with their workforce to achieve those efficiencies and, critically, to invest in their network so that postal services become a lot more reliable and we all get what we pay for.
Quick thinking from Marie-Therese Gumpert prevented what could have been a major multi-vehicle motorway pile-up after the driver of the bus she was travelling in passed out at the wheel. Marie managed to grab the steering wheel and get some control of the vehicle, which crossed 3 lanes of traffic on the M25, hit the central reservoir and finally stopped on the hard shoulder.
While speaking to the police, I realised truly how horrific this accident could have been, with 25 students, an unresponsive driver and a bus heading down the motorway at a very high speed. On the day of the accident, I didn't feel really brave. I feel like I just did what I had to do to ensure as many people's safety as possible. And yeah, I'm just grateful for all the support we got on the day and following.
Very quick thinking by Marie.